Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Skates podcast. I believe this is the 31st episode, and today I am here with Marvin Ong. So, hello, Marvin. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, recovering from being sick, but yeah, overall I'm good.
Yeah, myself as well. We actually both were sick with the sickness going around, unfortunately, last week. But today we are hanging out with Marvin, talking about his story. I know, Marvin, you've been a pretty frequent member of not just the community, but these streams as well. So it's nice to finally actually have you up here. So I want to start with just in general. I'm not familiar with how you got into this. So could you take us back to the very beginning of your journey, how you found free skating, or maybe even what led into that?
Sure. Let's see. The first time I actually saw somebody riding a free skate was like 5 years ago, and it was in France, and
Okay.
I was attending this like juggling convention. So I'm like an avid juggler. I attend a lot of these like juggling things around everywhere,
Mhm.
all the way from around the United States to Europe. And I remember being in France, and then I remember so clearly. It was like the last like second day or last. Can't remember. So this guy was riding one free skate, one foot on like squatting down on the ground, while
Oh,
the other foot is extended, while juggling five clubs like across the gymnasium. And then
what?
I was like, damn, this is crazy. I was like, but I guess like jugglers sometimes they do crazy stuff,
Yeah.
and then think much about it. And it was like the first time I remember seeing them. And
Okay.
then fast forward 2022, I keep seeing the uh, TikTok videos and Instagram. I
Okay.
think TikTok and Instagram both keep coming up, and it was June. It was like doing all the tricks, and I was like, oh my god! Like I was like, she's doing it so technical and so graceful at the same time,
Yeah.
and I was like, I couldn't see myself doing it. I was like, I'm kind of too old for this, and I was like, but I couldn't
Mm.
stop thinking about it. I just couldn't stop thinking. I kept thinking about it, and then in March, 3 months ago, I got a set. Yeah, so that's kind of like
Wow.
how I started. Yeah,
So you've only been free skating for like 3 months.
technically, I think it's been like a month. I've it's been like since I don't know if you're familiar. I'm in Arizona, and once it comes May till October, like the temperature is like, I mean, right now outside is like 105. Like it's
Too
like
hot.
it's like a lot of the places in the country, like when it comes winter, people kind of like hibernate, right? And in the summertime,
Yeah.
people kind of like, except for California. So Arizona is like the opposite, where like when it comes summer, people just either leave or just like hide in the house for like
Hmm.
until
Wow.
winter, and then
So
winter
it's
comes, and then people will start coming outside again.
okay. So it's difficult to get outside and do stuff like free skating in the summer where you're at
Yeah, because
because of how hot it is.
yeah, exactly. And nighttime, I think nighttime is okay, but it's still pushing like 90, like right now, like nighttime around like
Ooh.
once like the sun drops, like it's like around 90 degrees, and it's dry though, so it's just kind of like okay, but still it's not like super ideal, it's not like it's so nice
Yeah.
out, we're just gonna go out and ride around or something. But yeah.
I mean, once you get past the mountains, like up and over, like to San Diego, like everything drops and gets so cool and breezy, and like
Oh
you
yeah,
need you need to come over here and free skate with us. That'd be
oh
cool.
for sure. Like I'm definitely familiar with the San Diego weather because
Mm.
before living in Arizona, I was in LA for 15 years.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
kind of like a LA native, I guess.
Yeah.
And I've been out here like 3-4 years. Yeah.
Okay. So, and if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
I'm 38.
I would never have guessed. I would have
Yeah.
said maybe 30, maybe even like upper 20s.
Yeah. 20. People usually say 27,
28, I
28.
would have
Yeah.
said.
27, 28. Yeah. Sure. I've been blessed with a
The
low
young.
stress life, and then also been I was also really active too growing up. Like
Mm,
I played basketball like 7 days a week for like 16 years. Like
okay.
I played for my home state back in Malaysia. That's kind of where I grew up.
Mm.
And then after I played basketball, I started learning how to like juggle and spin fire and stuff. So that has been 14, 15 years. So like
Mm.
I've been fairly active. I also did a bunch of like snowboarding too.
Wow. So
I
you've
think
done a lot.
yeah, the snowboarding I was like really really into snowboarding, and then so like I moved up to Mammoth. Have you been to Mammoth? You know Mammoth, California?
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and I lived up there for like 2 winters and did like about like 200 something days of snowboarding.
So is snowboarding kind of like the first thing you got into, or was juggling before that? Well,
I think it was like basketball, snowboarding, and then juggling. Because
okay.
basketball I started when I was like 10, and so
Yeah.
that's kind of like the transition. And yeah.
So for the snowboarding, fast forwarding to learning how to free skate this year, have you found any similarities? Do you think there's any areas of snowboarding that have helped you, or not really so much?
Uh, I think free skating. Okay, so I own an electric unicycle. I've
Okay.
had that since 2016, so like 6 7 years ago, and I had a lot of fun with it. I rode it in a lot of places at Burning Man and things like that. But I noticed like it doesn't really have the snowboarding feel because it's going kind of like forward. So maybe it's more
Yeah.
like a skiing kind of like feeling. And so like I wanted to get the feeling of the snowboarding, but I don't skateboard. So like I was thinking of buying the one wheel because I've tried the one wheel a little bit a
Okay.
couple of
That
years
goes
ago.
sideways.
But then the one wheel is just so expensive versus the mileage.
Like
And
1,500 or 1,700,
yeah,
however
15,
much.
1700, like close to 2 grand, and it's only half the mileage of the unicycle. But and I already have a unicycle, the electric one. So like I feel like it'll be like
Yeah,
redundant to get another electric motorized thing.
I see.
But since the free skates are kind of like cheaper, it was like I didn't even have to like think twice. Like I just
And
bought
you
it.
and you've kind of had them in the back of your mind since you first saw them, right? That you at least knew they existed in some way.
Yeah, I knew they existed in some way, and then I think you guys have done a really great job with the TikTok and the Instagram, like like stuff. So it's been kind
Mhm.
of coming up on a lot of people's like visibility, and so once
Yeah.
I start seeing again, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Especially there were like some clips of June riding three of them, and she would kick out one of them and spin or whatever. And
Yeah.
as I'm watching that clip, and I was like, that's juggling. Like she's
It's juggling
like
on the
yeah,
ground.
juggling on the ground. And if you love juggling on your arms, might as well juggle with your feet too. You know what I mean? That's kind of like the kind of logic that I kind of like put
That's
together.
that's wild that you have all these hobbies and they kind of all just like merged into like, oh, obviously I need to start free skating
Totally. Yeah.
because you want to surf sideways.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you
Yeah.
don't want it to be too expensive, but you still want
Yeah.
to juggle.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and then you
Yeah.
got free skating. So
Yeah. And free skating is the combination of those two things. It's kind of like a sideway, kind of like propel kind of thing with
yeah.
juggling together. It's like it's yeah.
So when exactly did you get into juggling? How long have you been doing that for?
I've been juggling. I guess technically it would be like 14 years now.
Oh,
For
okay.
half of those 14 years, 7 to 8 years, I was doing it full time. I was like as a full
Like
time jug.
professional.
Yeah, I guess you could say professional. Yeah, like I made my living like by juggling. Yeah,
That's
for for
really
for a
cool.
time being there. Yeah.
So I do something you said earlier about you saw the guy juggling and he said he was juggling 5 clubs
Yeah, it was juggling 5 clubs on like
with one hand or
with 2 hands, but
okay.
then he was riding the free skate like squatting down with one foot.
Oh, so he wasn't quite like planking with his
No,
arm.
like he was
Because you
juggling.
know how some free skaters they'll go down on their hand, they'll use their hand and then their feet and plank sideways.
Like kind of like
laying
a
down.
that he wasn't laying down. He was just
Okay.
kind of like it's almost like when you do a squat, like
Mhm.
but then one of
Kind of like a lunge.
lunge, yeah, and then one of the leg was like fully extended,
And then he
and then
was
he
doing
was like,
5 clubs.
yeah, I was juggling 5 clubs down the gymnasium. It was
Mm.
insane. Like especially if somebody like for me never seen free skate before, I couldn't even understand how he was free skating, yet alone. Like juggling 5 clubs, I get, juggling 5 clubs. I think for any like normal human being, you can probably juggle from 0 to 5 clubs within maybe a year and a half to 3 years, like depending on age and depending on how like hard you push it. Like, but for some younger kids, maybe within a year you can do it. But that's everyday, like everyday practice. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of like level of 5 clubs. So like, so seeing 5 clubs, I get it, but the free skate part, I just didn't get. Like, it's kind of crazy. Yeah.
That's wild. So, I mean, I tried juggling a little bit when I was a kid, but I didn't really get into it. But I had the whole like CD and like the tutorials and everything, and I had the 3 multicolored, like the red, green, blue, yellow balls from Duncan. I
I've
think.
I, I've seen your free skating stuff. I think like if you just knew a little bit more of the possibility, I could totally see you doing some crazy free skating and juggling. It doesn't even have to be complex, because
Yeah.
like I don't know about free skating, but for jugglers are kind of very what's the right word? Like kind of like logic thinking. They're like they look at an object, right? And then they think like how many ways can I rotate this object around? How many ways can I balance it? And how many possibilities can I manipulate this one thing? So they
Mm,
just solely focus on the possibility. And some people would use like a like you'll like map it out. You'll like write out the possibilities in theory, right? Like
yeah.
x like a graph. And so same thing, once you have that, you can say, okay, I'm free skating. I can kick it out with my front foot. I can kick it out back foot. But can I spin to the left? Can I spin to the right? And so that's kind of like very
It's
juggling thinking,
yes. That's
you know?
interesting. A lot of the same mindset goes into how you can manipulate the skates as well.
And then so once you have the arm at the top, but you also have the bottom, it's insane to even think about the possibilities.
Yeah.
Like I've kind of like tried a little bit of those things, like juggling and free skating. And what I noticed for me that was really fascinating in my findings is that there's some tricks that I do with my arms that my leg is still able to pump. I'm still able to pump with my feet, and I'm still juggling at the top.
That's
And then
like the
yeah, exactly. And then some requires a little bit more like focus, like the juggling tricks. And then my legs would completely just paralyze. They just die. They could balance, they could still be cruising, but
yeah.
they no longer have the like attention to like to pump. And that's why wow, this is crazy. This is awesome. You can find different ways of like what is moving at top and how it's affecting at the bottom. And I haven't even learned how to do tricks yet with free skates.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the other thing is like how crazy would it be to be juggling while doing like June style tricks? I'm
oh
talking
my god.
that's like
That's
first
the
of all
whole
you would
point. I got the free skate.
right. I
Because
mean
there's also
June,
different props at the top. You can have a staff. You can have all these different momentum, like related objects that move a specific way that complement the bottom as well. Yeah, it's
it'd be interesting to try and incorporate the free skates in the hands as well. So you're not even juggling balls anymore. You have free skates under your feet, and you're also juggling the free skates themselves. And then they kind of you can pass it from your feet to your
oh
hand, and from
wow.
your hand to your feet. I don't know,
Wow, that would be crazy.
but I mean, you've already spent enough time juggling, so I'm excited for like you to eventually learn a couple of tricks because you've only been free skating, like you said, maybe like a cumulative month, and you're already looking pretty good. I was checking out some of your stuff.
When I first got it, I feel like I was like really hot into it. I was like thinking about it every day, and
Yeah.
I went a couple times a week. And once I was able to pump, the weather kind of like started like warming up, and so I think the weather and also like just trying to learn a trick kind of like like I just slowed down. I'm like hoping that once it cools down a little bit, I'll start picking it back up again
Mm-hmm.
because I want to do some spins and also like 1 foot, and I just realized, man, it's so hard. It's like, but yeah, I guess I have to go back to the drawing board and slowly like chip at it.
It's something you gotta. I mean, as with juggling, you need to be consistent at it, and I mean, it's going to be a slow build. But the more you stay consistent, the more these things are just going to make sense, and you can build on them. And once you have those skills, like sure, you can take a break and you might get rusty, but those skills really stay with you. Ultimately, there's a couple people in the chat that I want to say hi to. Welcome, Gemini Dragon. Hope you're doing well yourself.
Yeah, Gemini Dragon. I got him to buy a pair.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
then,
he's crazy good because he actually manual unicycle and also longboard. He does like a bunch of other stuff, like, which is kind of crazy.
many talents. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And then we have TC. Much love, Marvin. New subscriber here. Welcome, TC. And then feel free, everyone, to remember to like the video. That always helps. So if you don't mind, could I pull up your Instagram?
Sure, yeah.
Sure. All right. So.
Oh yeah, my Instagram is monetized thanks to Gemini Dragon as well. So if anybody clicks on the reels and give it like a few comments and likes, I actually get paid from Instagram. Which is pretty awesome.
Cool. So how did you get that set up yourself? Because what I did is just wait for the notification to come in, but I'm curious on your part what you did.
No, Gemini Dragon just told me about it, and then I went to my settings and I searched bonuses, and I was eligible. And then I also got notified by Facebook that Facebook was doing the same thing, except like my Instagram, I have like a good size following, so every time I post, I actually get decent traction. While on Facebook, I'll have the same post and it will just make me like 20 cents or 40 cents.
Yeah. Yeah, no, the Instagram program right now is good. It's good that they're paying creators. It's just frustrating for some because for the longest time we couldn't figure out how to get into it. But no, I mean it's not a whole lot, but it definitely adds up, especially with our Instagram doing well lately. I mean, we've doubled our following in the past 2 weeks.
Oh wow. Double. Wow. Amazing.
So
you think that's coming from TikTok or what?
No, it's the reels doing very well.
I see.
So June is killing it. She's got 706K, 845K, 440. Like specifically June is doing well on basically all of her posts. You have 4.8 million right here, 5.1 million.
Wow.
So 111K. So June's having some fun on here. And then 4.8K here as well. So of course, giving her the platform that her skating and her hard work deserves. And then we also have Maddie running into a pole doing well as well right here. Anyways, so yes, your Instagram. So I was checking out some of your juggling stuff. It looks like, was it around here that you got into free skating? It says March.
Yeah, March.
Oh, okay. Only did 15 minutes today around the block. Been enjoying some leg workout. Nice. So I saw there was some hybrid videos. I'll just click on a random one though. Is this free skating?
That's the one, yeah, I think.
Whoa. The clubs are light up.
Yeah, the clubs from this company called Flow Toys that makes like LED props, yeah. And actually one of my biggest achievement in like the juggling world is that one of the modes is named after me. It's called Marvin's mode. So
really?
It's like a cool. Universal like color. Yeah.
So you have like some sort of partnership with them?
Kind of like an affiliate program too. Yeah, because I've known them for like a long time. Yeah.
Cool. And then maybe not all this is free skating, but I do not even understand how hard some of this could be. I know I have a good friend. His name is Clark. He's also a juggler, if you know who that is.
Clark from San Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
So
I did recently saw his account that he had free skate. He's been juggling forever too.
he's Clark is a crazy juggler too. Yeah, so I thought of him when you're coming on because you also free skate and juggle. Um, I've seen just a little bit of his juggling stuff in person, and I cannot comprehend it. And same thing here. Like what? That's I only or something where you just do just a simple juggle motion with three balls. That's all I know how to do. And then I don't even know what these are.
These are called poi, poi. They're basically like ball on a rope,
Uh-huh.
and you can kind of like spin them around and manipulate them, throw them. And some people do three, so it depends. And then sometimes there's the ones on fire right there. I think the scroll up a little bit right there. The one, yeah.
Whoa.
So you actually spin them on fire as well. So people really like the fire one. Like I actually had this like viral like uh poi video that I posted
Is it
like
on Reels?
no, it's on YouTube.
Oh, it's on YouTube.
It's like 600,000 views or something like that. Like
Let's see. Poi. Is it like a while back?
yeah, if you sort it by popular, it should pop up.
Oh, there it is.
There, yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Sorry for how loud that was for anybody.
Yeah, this was actually 10 years ago. Filmed in Portland, Oregon.
10 years ago, and you were still this good.
Yeah, 10 years ago. Yeah. And I think the algorithm really liked this video, and then so it like really like pushed it, kind of.
So you were 28 then, and you're still 28 now.
Pretty much.
Wow. So cool. Lots of comments too. Nice. Well, that's cool. That's probably what brought in a bunch of people and got your name out there a little bit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I, in my research of kind of the stuff that you do, came across the term, if you could explain what it is to me, object manipulation.
So the most easiest way to kind of like describe it is juggling has been around since probably the beginning of time, right? It's probably
Right.
like the first caveman took a rock and they just kind of like threw it around, and there you go. There's juggling. But over time, like over centuries or over whatever, like juggling has kind of like evolved a little bit into there's different genres of juggling. There's ones where people bounce it on the ground. There's ones that people light it on fire, and they're all kind of like they're all still called juggling. But then with technology and electronic music and all those different things, it also has kind of like shifted how like music has changed. So juggling kind of has changed, and so like some people would like to call it like object manipulation, but that's kind of like the longest, a long term. And then there's
Okay.
juggling, and then there's another term called flow arts. I don't know if you've seen the term flow arts float
Haven't seen
around. So flow arts is kind of like a more like it derives from kind of like rave and Burning Man culture. It derives more from the fire spinning. It's more a little bit more tribal, but they're all kind of like it's almost like free skating, snowboarding. You know, there's all these different genres, but they're all under like one umbrella. So that's kind of like the
Okay.
best way to kind of like explain it. Yeah.
So those are all under the umbrella of skating, and then all these things that you're saying are under the umbrella of what?
Of juggling.
Of just juggling. Okay.
Yeah, of juggling.
And then what's that? Maybe this is unrelated, but there's this kind of illusion thing where they might have like three balls in their hand and they're able to make them spin.
Oh, I do those actually.
Oh, you do that?
I have some right there actually.
What? Okay. I was so curious about that. Of course, he also does that as well. Oh, there it is. That's
These
exactly
ones, right?
what I was picturing. Yeah.
Oh shit, camera. Yeah, these ones. Yeah, they're called. This one's called contact juggling. Technically,
Contact juggling. There
contact
you go.
juggling. Yeah,
That's right.
contact juggling.
Of course, you're into that as well.
You either do it with multiple spheres, which is called a multi-ball, or you do it with just one ball, which is just one ball contact juggling.
Mm. That's cool. That's you have a lot of cool talents. You could do contact juggling while free skating. You could do
I was thinking about that because like I don't practice the one. There's one where people practice like ball on the head, where they kind of like balance the ball on their head, and I was like, it'd be insane if somebody did like ball on the head while like free skating. They'll be like so crazy.
Here's another thing that I've seen. It's those, I don't know what you call them, but they're essentially rings that you juggle.
Like
Are
ring
they
juggling.
just ring juggling?
Yeah.
Is there a version of contact juggling? I've seen people with like 3 rings and they do these hand movements and the rings make these different illusions and shapes in front of
Yeah,
you.
so that's kind of like the evolution of like what juggling has become. Because traditional juggling is more like you throw and catch, and that's kind of like what everybody knows, like just
Yeah.
traditional juggling. But all these different style of juggling, some of them are like more visual. They're trying to like create like a specific shape or visual. And the one that you're talking about, it's called 8 ring. Technically it's like 2 rings, but they're like kind of like touching, they're connected,
Yeah.
and then so they have a pair, and then they spin them on their fingers, and then it would create this like illusions or shapes, like, but they're still within the juggling s- like umbrella, I think.
I see.
A lot of contact jugglers like to do those because the one of the guy that started like pushing like that particular style, it's a contact juggler. So it depends on like depend the props. How I look at the props, they're like different genres of music. You know how you have like drum and bass, you have like
Yes.
different style of music. The props are the same. There's like different props, and they kind of like all overlap and share like techniques, but then each person will like a specific genre, and they kind of like flock towards that prop. And it's very fascinating because it depends on, I think, like a person's like personality, what they like, what they see, what they like, and then they kind of like flock towards it. And within its own like within its own pod, there's also like subdivisions of like different tricks. And so some people will like specific tricks, they'll like gravitate towards different parts of the pod. Yeah.
Nice. That's so interesting. We have Gemini's has off wheels. Reese says, "Get it, Grandma."
Yeah, grandma. So if you look at my Instagram name, is Grandmaster Ong, and
Grandma. Yeah.
I've had that name for over like 10 years. Like, and for some reason during the pandemic, like I got on the Zoom call, and one of my friend was like, "Hey, your name reads out like grandma." He's like, "It's like grandma, like grandma strong."
Wait.
And
Grand.
all
Yeah. Is
and
that why you changed you made it capitalized?
and then I started I started live streaming on Twitch, and then when you, I think by default when you sign up on Twitch, it capitalizes your first letter, and then all the other letters are small, even though you can change it later. And then everybody on Twitch will read it grandma, and we're like, yo, grandma's in the house. And then so like I kind of like found it kind of like funny, and it's kind
Yeah.
of like good for marketing, so like I just kind of like roll with it. So so
Nice.
it's like a pandemic name. Some people will call me like grandma. Yeah.
Good inside joke. Stacks on stacks. Text says off topic, but shout out to Marvin's setup. Audio listeners blessed today. Yeah, you got it. You got a sweet setup there. Is that the Yeti right there, or which one is
That
that?
is the Yeti, yeah, the blue Yeti. Yeah, I got like a whole like thing, because I started like live streaming on Twitch like 2 years ago. So in the
Hmm.
beginning, it was kind of like a mostly about juggling, but now it's just like, kind of like a random whatever comes to mind. And so I have like the key light, the backlight, multiple screens, the blue
Cool.
Yeti, and the whole like studio setup. But I think that's kind of like normal now. It's the whole setup, especially with the pandemic and stuff.
Yeah, maybe I should change mine real quick. 1 second.
Changing 5 lights to cyan.
Now we both got some colors. All
There
right.
you go.
RI says, had to change my Google name. Dang it. Oh, the OG vid. I'm a little behind on some of these. Get him to show you the real master ONG vid. And nice. Cool. Is that a fan that you know?
Reese is a friend. Yeah, he's in BC, Vancouver. He also got free skates. I actually got quite a lot of people got free skates actually. Like now I think about it,
You got what? What free skates?
I got a lot of people to buy free skates actually.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
You're an ambassador, right? Or no? Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And yeah, definitely make sure they use that code. Alrighty. So I think I had a couple of questions for you. Skating, juggling. So are you practicing any tricks lately, or are you mainly just riding, focusing on your riding?
Right now I'm waiting for the weather to kind of like cool down, and then I'll start working on. I the last time I tried it was I was like a little bit of 1 foot and a little bit of switch. Like what would you advise? Would you practice 1 foot first, or would you practice switch first?
I would say switch is definitely more approachable. You can only get better and better at that. It starts as uncomfortable, but once you understand, like, there's a certain point where you stop falling. Like right when you start practicing switch, you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall, and then
when you say fall, you mean just stop, right?
You step off. You lose your balance. Your feet will split the wrong way, but there's a threshold where finally it clicks, just like it did in the beginning in the normal direction, and you're like, okay, I can stay on, but I still suck at switch. So at that point, you can keep building. 1 foot, it's like it takes a while to keep from falling too far forward, too far backward. You got to restart, and like I feel like it's just a bit
tedious.
1 foot takes a bit longer to kind of master, and even now, like, I'm still having to continually practice my 1 foot and try and well, I guess the other thing is you have all your body weight on 1 foot, so it takes less time to get tired. Whereas switch is just, as long as you have a hill, it's something you can practice for extended amounts of time. I would say practice them both, like incorporate them into your sessions, because they're both important to being overall comfortable as a skater. Switch is super important. Some of the riders that I know now that improved the fastest, even though they've only been skating for like a month or two, like focused on this stuff like pretty early on. So once they knew how to ride normally, they're like, okay, I'll learn how to ride switch. Suddenly, like now that they're learning 180s, it's no problem because they can keep riding. And so I would say switch 180s. Those two alone will increase your comfortability, and then 1 foot is good as well.
Would you say, like, after you practice switch and then you're like, okay, I can comfortable, I can like spin 180, it just adds to the confidence for you practicing 1 foot? It should, right? Like, is there a direct correlation?
I don't know about like a direct correlation. I mean, anything that you practice that makes you more comfortable is going to have positive effects in, in other areas. They may not relate directly, but I think anything helps. So the more well-rounded, like rounded off you can become, the better. So yeah, I would say there's a correlation. I don't know about direct, but
Gotcha.
Those things, anything aside from technical tricks, like technical tricks that can get frustrating. You have skaters flying midair, and like they're not super replicatable unless you're obsessed with them. But things where you're always in contact, like switch, 180s, even Tokyo, like like where you cross your legs, all these things are gonna help you improve your weight shift. And as a result of doing all those things, yes, 1 foot is gonna come easier. And then you got to start over with the other foot. You got to pick a foot, right? You got to pick your front foot or your back foot. And then once you get good at that, you're like, oh, well, now I got to be a beginner again with the other one. But don't stress about them. Just start slowly Like pick one and then start like focus on it for a week or something.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, probably once the weather cools down a little bit and once I recover from the sickness, hopefully we'll go at
yeah,
it again.
sure thing. Tech says could try practice stances stationary, like stance or turnaround stance. Yeah, stationary practice is also really good. I've gotten into like when I teach people to 180, I'll actually just do it stationary. I can pause at any point in the trick because I have that stationary control. So I would recommend anyone like that's looking for a challenge do the stand in place where you um, stand in a T stance like this.
Yeah.
Because then you have two axes where
And
you
so
know
you can practice that one just by on the wall, just kind of like stand on the wall and just kind of like get it dialed
yeah.
in.
And the more
Pretty
you
much.
do that, like I'm able to stand basically completely still on the free skates without rolling at all.
Yeah.
And having that control is helpful for tricks as well. So all this stuff adds to all this stuff adds to becoming a better free skater. I think I'm going to make a video about those small exercises pretty soon here.
How many years have you been riding now?
So for me, I've been skating over 5. So I started in end of March 2017. I started the first year or two skating to class in college, and then have been blessed the next 3 or so years to be in San Diego with people that really know what they're doing. And then the great thing about that is everyone is now able to practice virtually with us now that we have more and more content week after week.
Yeah.
So, definitely has been easier with people around me. But yeah, no, it's been 5 years and gradual progression. Like whenever I say I'm like, oh, I've been free skating for 5 years, people are like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll never do it because it took that guy 5 years. Like, it's not how it works. I mean, I was free skating in the first week. You know, it just got slowly better over time, and I can only imagine as I keep it up the next 5 what could happen. I have no idea. Dr. Dope says, hi, Marvin. Hi, Grandmaster Ong.
Dr. Dope.
Welcome, Dr. Dope. I like your profile pic. Let's see. Who is your, I think I may already know the answer, but within this community, would you say you have a biggest inspiration as far as a free skater?
I feel like it's not like a surprise. I think like June hands down has like such a graceful like style,
Yeah.
you know.
She makes it, the things she's doing is hard to make like look as beautiful as she's making it look.
And also for me, when it comes to free skating, I think there's definitely a lot of different like tricks and things you can do, right? Some people hit the ramps, some people do the jumps. Like
Yeah.
for me, I really like the not very aggressive style. Like less flips, but more with the spins and how you connect the spins from one to the other. And maybe some of the Tokyos and stuff like that too. Like those are kind of like within like my range of like interests. I have like no interest of like hitting any ramps or doing any jumps or anything like that. Like just the smoothness of those things are like my peak interest for me.
Yeah, I think that part of free skating is really beautiful. Like there's so many like different aspects, so many different routes you can take. I mean, the more like the most impressive thing is when you can somehow become a master of like all 3 or 4 of those areas.
Yeah.
And there are a few skaters that come to mind with that. Like June obviously excels in the freestyle, like technical, flowy space. But then there's people like Maddie or Sukasa, to name just a couple that are like into all the different spots. So like ramp, like freestyle skating, like or street, like going off of ledges and stuff. But beautiful thing is like you don't have to get into all that. You can just choose one and like excel at that part. One of the, as you were talking about June, like there was a very specific video that came to mind that I kind of just want to play. If I can pull this up right here. All right. I don't know why, but this is probably one of my favorite videos that June has posted. And then followed up with this satellite trick right here. And then another, and then another. But yeah, June is indeed, I saw a comment, boss. She is a boss. So, let's see, what other, I think I had another question here for you. Does anybody else have some questions for Marvin while we're still on here? We're about 40 minutes into this stream. I think we might have to end it in about 5. If you have to still head out a bit early, Marvin.
I'm okay. Like she hasn't texted me yet, so I'm actually okay.
Okay. So what you would say that the writing style that you would go for would be that more smooth, flowy June style?
Yeah, that's kind of like what I like about free skating the most is like kind of like the smooth, like gracefulness of the
Smooth,
spins.
smooth,
Really like
graceful juggling under your feet.
yes, move graceful juggling under your feet. Exactly. That's kind of like the juggling I like as well. Because in juggling, there's also like I said, traditional juggling where you kind of like focus on like working on 5 clubs or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
very impressive and very powerful, but
There's
it's very static. You know, it's very
yeah.
like technical and deep. But then there's the other style of juggling where it's kind of like it's less about adding the quantity of objects, but it's finding how you connect the tricks together in a smooth way, and sometimes
Yeah.
also in a way visual, like what are you trying to portray instead of like what I'm doing here, you know, like it's kind of like drawing a picture of the juggling as well.
It's your style.
Yeah,
Because there's definitely free skaters that there's a difference in like certain regions of the world where some free skaters are this is an opinion, but I would say sometimes overly aggressive with the tricks that they're doing and the street style and making it look like, I don't know, tough and like
yeah,
hard hitting and stuff. But it's not necessarily the same style and gracefulness as maybe some other free skaters have. It's impressive nonetheless, but there is a difference
totally.
in how people are making it look, and I think it is important, like what you're trying to portray through it.
Yeah, because I think about it more as like there's a difference between sport and art. Like
Mhm.
sport, you're trying to like score. You know, you're trying to
Yeah.
hit the points, and it doesn't matter how ugly you do it. As long as you score, you win. You know, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like
Like Game
the
of Skate kind of works
that's
that way.
kind of like premise of sport. And then I feel like juggling has that too. Like like I don't care about the form or whatever. It's more about how many can I kind of like execute and how many can I land those tricks. But then there's like the art where like
Mhm.
it's less about like the score of the points, but how beautiful this thing can look. And there's nothing wrong with both of it's just different styles. Like and sometimes they're intermingled too, like right. And so I feel like free skating has that. The part that you're talking about, it's more like the sport. They're like kind of like treated as a sport, and then there's like the art of
Yeah.
like free skating.
I would say June is definitely more of an artistic free skater. There are some skaters in the Chinese team, if you're familiar with Team Survivor at all.
I'm not
They're
too familiar with the Chinese team.
or definitely I would say just street Chinese teams in general, because there are a few over there and they all are pretty like they come at the aggressive angle and
Mm-hmm.
like look at all the tricks we can do, and like they make it look really cool. Um, and of course some of them are smooth and they have style too, but the overall theme I'm getting is that it's just super aggressive and like grungy and angsty. I don't know, um, which is a vibe as well. Um, but let's see. Talk about your inspiration. I have a general question of if you could, and it's okay if you don't have an answer to this that you can think of, but if you could say anything to someone just starting out with free skating, is there anything you would say? I know you're only like a month into it, but
I would say if they just started, I say like it may feel like almost like it reminds me of like juggling. Like when I first started juggling, it
Mm,
literally feels impossible. Like you're doing it, and you're like, this shit. I was like, no way. But I think like you just have to like stick with it a little bit, like bit by bit, and I feel like you'll
yeah,
be surprised, like how far you'll like you'll be able to do it. I think that's kind of like if I would go back in time and I like 3 months ago and I was like just starting to learn, I would tell that to myself. It's like, you'll get it. Just have to like stick with it a little bit. And that's exactly what I did. I did 30 minutes each day, and I like it was very exciting actually. In the beginning was like it felt like the first time I stepped on them, it felt like I was at a deep end swimming pool, and I'm just like just kind of going nowhere. I'm just kind of like by the wall, and then
yeah.
after like a day or two, I was like starting to leave the wall, and then starting to leave the driveway, and I think that's kind of like it was like very exciting, and then a couple days later, I was able to pump, and
And
then
that's when it clicks. Like
yeah,
that's when you realize, okay, like maybe this was worth it. Maybe I can build on this and actually have some fun with it.
yeah, I also want to learn a reverse pump. I haven't really figured out the motion of that as well. I watched the videos a few times, and but yeah, I'm and also I was watching James Picasso because he's from Singapore because I grew up in Malaysia, so I kind of
Mm.
like and then I talked to him a little bit and his progression of like how good he got in like
Yeah.
such
Yes,
a
and
short amount of time is
been
crazy.
free skating for that long, and he's how old?
Yeah,
Like how
like
old is that man? Like
he's like in his 50s, and he's like
he's
a
doing
year,
crazy
and a
stuff.
half in. And I'm just like,
He
oh
got
my
one
god.
foots, turnarounds,
Yeah,
and he's cool at the video editing too. He makes some fun stuff on Instagram.
yeah. So it was cool to kind of like watch his progression. So hopefully in a year or something I can say the same. But I guess
Oh,
depending
yeah,
on weather, like.
having weather.
But
Yeah,
Singapore is pretty hot too, though. Singapore is like hot and humid. But I guess you gotta
and
push
then you
through
got
it.
like a hot, dry heat in Arizona.
Yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, you'll definitely. I mean, you've already progressed, and you definitely have the passion and the dedication, as is evident from your, dedication elsewhere, like in other sports. Like definitely have a drive to figure stuff like this out. So I'm excited to see where you take it, and the combinations of all the other things you can do, and that'll be the most fun thing to watch, I think.
Yeah, I think the combination will be fun. Yeah. I have a few ideas, and just hoping to get more comfortable with the free skates, and then even just playing around with it, not like thinking, oh, I need to like hit this level, and just like just trying stuff that I already have. I already can
Mhm.
free skate. I already can pump. Can do it. Like I actually tried 5 clubs on free skates. I didn't land it. Like it took more of a concentration than I expected. But
I can only imagine. What's the most number of clubs, free skates or not, that you've
uh,
done?
5 clubs. I've got a few like 100 catches with 5 clubs over the years, but that's only because my whole practice resume like only like 5% is dedicated to practicing 5 clubs. 95% I actually practice like 2 and 3 clubs a lot, like mostly trying to find the fluid kind of like connections. And some of the tricks that I actually do with 2 and 3 clubs are like for a regular person that doesn't juggle, they don't understand the technical like level of it. But for like a juggler, like my 2 and 3 clubs are like pretty high level. They're like a lot. Some of the tricks like not a lot of people can do, like because it's less about increasing in the numbers, but finding deeper like techniques within the
Yeah,
existing
how you can make
things.
things connect.
Yeah, yeah.
Interesting. Uh, RI says his excitement was enough to make me buy a set. That's dope. Love that. And then Peter Sumison, Sumption says, for a smoother style, I take my skates to a roller rink. Yes, if you have roller rinks in Arizona, maybe that's a possibility if they let you. But
We do have one next door, or close to me. There's like a roller rink. I have not checked yet, but I've not asked yet. But I have been looking online, and it seems like mixed reviews. It seems like some places allow you, and some
Yeah, so I
places they
guess we
don't.
would just have to ask, like, hey, like, I know how to ride these. They stay on my feet. Because I think the main concern is that, like, they
That's
are,
shooting off and then hurting
yeah,
somebody. And
and
I guess it also depends on how busy the roller rink is, right? If it's like not that busy, I don't see why not. But if
I
it's like
feel
really
like,
packed, maybe they're like more skeptical. Maybe.
yeah, like it's hot here. Like I'm looking for a place to practice consistently. Would you be cool with me using the rink? It probably also costs money too. Maybe that means membership or something. But
Yeah.
it could be a nice method of just practicing general style and flow while you're trying to wait for things to cool off. Maybe if they don't let you, then well, oh well.
Yeah, I've not asked yet. I've thought about it, but since I read like a mixture of reviews, I have not pursued it.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, there's some mixed reviews here as well. Like, there's a very popular roller rink here in San Diego where they said, "Oh, you can practice in between sessions when the rink is empty and there people are waiting to like get onto like the next scheduled session." But it's like, what fun is that when I'm not skating with the other people in the rink? Like, I'm just by myself in the 10-minute gap. I get my free skate time. It's like I would rather just free skate outside at that point.
Oh, they let you free skate, but only in the 10-minute in
Yeah,
between.
yeah. The like in between intermission where it's like I'm not a danger to anybody else.
But then you would have to pay the same price too.
That I don't know. See, I didn't take that into account. I guess maybe it's like, yeah, come here to roller skate, but if you come here early, we'll give you the little period like so you can free skate too. I don't know. But you still have to pay. I don't know. It was kind of lame. So, but there are also rinks that let you do it. So, um,
I guess yeah, it depends on the establishment.
yeah, it depends on the rules and
Yeah.
rules are rules. But I do prefer to free skate, so I haven't been.
Also in San Diego, you have like such great weather. Why would you want to go to the roller
Right,
rink
yeah.
unless
That's
for
the other
that
thing.
smooth ground? Because that's what I noticed on the free skates as well. Like, so with juggling, like it is affected by the wind a lot. Like, so especially if you're like an avid juggler, so you juggle all the time, and then so like when you're like outside, you're thinking about juggling, and then so you're like paying attention to the wind, like
Yeah,
and the humidity of the air, very constant, and so you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of like a perfect no wind juggling time. Free skating, I started noticing because I brought it to downtown Phoenix and kind of like rode around downtown, and it wasn't the best experience because there was like construction and stuff like that, and so like some of the spots the ground was like really smooth, and then some of them were like not that great, and then I noticed like that affected my free skating experience because
yeah,
once you're hit that smooth ground, it's like you're just floating,
yeah.
or the opposite. Once you hit like the rocky whatever, it's just like it's kind of like annoying. Like,
It's annoying. Yeah, you want to.
yeah,
The smooth ground is like the place to be. That's like the best scenario for practicing free skating. I think it feels so good. So yeah, I mean that's what you're gonna get in the roller rink.
yeah,
And like Peter said, he said he didn't ask. They just didn't know what they were, and he didn't cause a problem, so they let him do it.
it makes sense. You just kind of like roll in, and they're like, ah, whatever. They take their money, and
And
they're
then
like,
you just become that guy that's there, and it's like I don't know what
yeah,
he's on, or they ask and they're curious. I mean, worst case scenario, they say get out. So yeah, maybe you just don't ask because if they say no after
then
you
you
ask,
leave. Yeah,
you just won't get the chance to try in the first place. So I don't
but
know.
I probably wouldn't. I feel like I would skate if it wasn't a lot of people. I feel like with a lot of people, I'm still kind of like the skates won't fly off, but I feel like I don't know. Like it depends on how tight, you know. Like I guess
Yeah,
because I don't want to be that one person that is not on roller skates, and then I don't know, a
yeah.
sore thumb sticking out. I guess it depends
And
on
do
the
you have
situation.
do you have edge guards on your free skates?
No, I don't have edge guards.
That's another thing that helps with like, oh, they're definitely not going to scratch the floor up or anything. Um, so there's another thing to consider. Um, I guess as long as you're not doing throws, there's no reason for it to touch the ground. Of course, you might fall a couple times. That's the other thing with like falling. You got to be pretty proactive about picking up your skates and making sure they're out of the way of roller skaters that are coming up to it.
Yeah.
Kind of got to run to the side or run to the center and reset, and then wait for a gap.
If I were to go into the roller ring, I feel like if there's any percentage of like falling, I probably wouldn't try to learn any tricks at all. I'll probably just be like cruising. I feel like,
I mean, you're cruising, you're probably not gonna fall.
and if I'm cruising, I'm definitely not gonna fall unless there was this one time in Phoenix downtown. This was kind of pretty funny incident I can share with you. So I'm free skating around like the sidewalks, and so there was this point where there was a sign, like a kind of like a cardboard sign, and it was on the ground, so it took up half the space of the sidewalk. And I'm cruising down, and there was a couple that's like walking pretty close to that sign, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, should I pump like more speed and so I can like cut through that like that gap, or should I slow down? But then I don't know how to reverse pump. I would have to jump off, right? But then in that half a second of thinking, I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go for it. So as I like ride through the gap, like I didn't hit them, nor I didn't hit the sign, but it was so like narrow, so narrow. I had to kind of like jump off my skates, and so this couple was like walking, holding hands. And all of a sudden, next to them, half a second, there's this guy jumping off the skates, and they got kind of like shook, and I was like, "Whoa, yeah."
Wow. They were probably so confused.
Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking, like, oh, if I only knew how to reverse pump, I would have saved myself from that.
I guess then you didn't have room to carve at all.
Yeah, I didn't have room to carve. It was like, it's because by the time they walked and me and the sign, we were all like in one spot. You know, I mean, the timing of it. It was like I was behind them, and it's either I stop now or I try to like overtake them. But then because I'm not that fast, so by the time I hit the sign, they were also there. So it was like super tiny. But it was a funny incident for sure. And then I pick up my skates and I just kept going.
Yeah. It'll be nice over time to get better at, because you'll find that you're able to carve even like when you're in like really tight spaces by it might be considered reverse pumping, but like with my back skate, I like to do like little mini carves rather than big turns. You can carve really sharply kind of while you're still confined to
only with one foot.
Speed. Yeah. Like with the back one, kind of going like with it, like to slow you down.
Interesting. Okay.
And then there's also T slides, which if I'm going switch, I'll do that. But those are hard to begin with.
The slides are definitely out of my range for sure. The one you talk about, like the 1 foot carving on the back, that's interesting. I should try that a little bit.
Yeah, it's kind of like instead of making big turns with your whole body, it's more like while this skate is the front one, it's cruising along. This one goes, you kind of really create S's with it. Not in a way to pump, but more to resist the motion and slow you down, which I guess in a way it's like a mixture between carving and reverse pumping with that foot. A Blender says, once you get more comfortable, I think skating around people is a great way to practice. Yep. I mean, obviously you don't want to run into them, but when I was in college at Iowa State, that in the first week I was trying to, like at the end of the first week, I was trying to use them for class. And I'm like, oh, I have all these people. So I had to quickly get used to how to avoid them, how to maneuver in and out of them, how not to launch a skate at an ankle, which happened once or twice. But like eventually you learn, oh, like I can really skate in these tight spaces now and slow down when I need or speed up when I need. And it's good practice, that's for sure. Hope you're doing well, Jason. So cool. Any closing questions as we come up on an hour here? Or anything you have to say, Marvin?
No, I think this has been great. It's definitely because since, like I said, since it's been hot in the last
Hmm.
month or two, I've not been skating except that one time I was in downtown a few weeks ago, and I like to go to this ramen place, and sometimes parking can be quite difficult,
Yeah.
and I I was usually I have my electric unicycle in my car too. So if it's not that hot, I'll put it in my trunk. Like, and no matter where I go, parking won't be an issue. I'll just bring it out and start like riding away. But this time, because it's so warm, I'm not gonna leave my unicycle just in the trunk. So I didn't bring it. But my free skates, they're always in my trunk. They're like just sitting in my trunk, and I park kind of like far. And I was like, hey,
I can
I got
just
them
free
free
skate for
skates.
ramen.
Yeah, and when it was like 100 degrees or whatever. So I pull out the free skate and I skated down to the ramen shop, and that was great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I found it was funny when I got into free skating for the first time. I would also leave them in my car, and even if it was like a trip to like the grocery store, and
Mhm.
it's like not that far, I would free skate at any chance that I would get. So even though I'm in the parking lot, literally right next to the grocery store, I like to get out of
Yeah.
my car, free
Free
skate to
skate
the
from the car to
entrance.
the grocery
I would
store.
pick them up, put them in my shopping cart, and then free skate my bags back to my car after. So people would like kind of look at my cart weird as I'm like rolling around. I got these free skates sitting in the top thing, but
For
uh,
sure. I think there's like when I had the electric, I still have the electric unicycle, and I feel like the electric unicycle, you can either use it as kind of like a tricking kind of like wheel. You can like try to learn some right reverse and stuff like that. And then there's the utility of the wheel. Like I was using it to commute to work. The commute was like 1 mile, and I used it to commute to work for like maybe like a year or something. And but I'm sure the free skating is the same. There's like the utility based function of it. There's
yeah.
like the tricking part of it, but then it's fun if it aligns well, and then the utility can be used as like a commuter.
Oh yeah.
Because sometimes it doesn't line up, you know, because sometimes you live too far or whatever. So like it can't be utilized as such.
It's definitely one of the best, I guess less obvious things at first about free skating, but it's like probably one of its biggest advantages is the capability for those specific situations, for commute. Because like you said, it doesn't work for everybody, but for the people that would work for, like it's the perfect solution. It
Yeah,
was for me for college, for free skating to work here one because I didn't have a car for a year. It worked out. So
yeah. Talking about this, definitely makes me miss skating. It's been like a month since I've and that's the other part when the weather was like nicer, like I would bring it out a couple of times a week,
yeah,
and even if I'm not like actively trying to learn switch or trying to learn one foot, I just felt I remember watching your video because you were talking about it. It's such a great form of exercise. It's like such a great excuse to like exercise.
right.
And for me, even though I've done a lot of these different times like of sports and stuff like that, I always find it difficult for me to just go to a gym and just to like lift weights or whatever. But when there's something stimulating me, like snowboarding or something, like it like entices me to like go do the activity, and in the bonus you get like a workout.
Right. In college, I definitely started putting on some weight. And then thankfully, I found free skating because there were a couple of poor attempts to go to the gym. It didn't end up going too well. It's like, why do I got to go to the gym to like, lose weight, whatever. But then once I started free skating, it became like an everyday thing. And then suddenly a byproduct was, oh, I'm losing weight. I'm, staying more in shape now. And it's a fun, like, I can't think of a more fun way to do it and just like forget about the exercise part because it's
Yeah.
happening. It's happening as you have your fun. So,
But I can't skate that far yet. I've noticed like if I would bring it to the park, I would do like 30 40 minutes straight, and I'll start getting like tired.
mhm.
And I've also clocked by miles. One time it did like over like a mile and a half or something, and I was like, "Whoa, I'm toast." I don't even know how some of you guys said like do like 10 miles. Oh my god,
Eventually.
crazy!
It just goes up, but
Yes.
your muscles only get stronger. So
Even 10 miles on a bicycle, I think I'm like,
10 miles is a little insane. I mean, when you get past a certain point, you know how to, conserve your energy and
yeah,
skate for those longer distances, but not very many people are going to be free skating for 10 miles. There's not very many situations where you would want to free skate for 10 miles unless it's like a dedicated, like, I don't know, because Jeff had his dedicated 12-mile route in San Francisco because that was like the skate group, what they did. So
gotcha.
he was able to do that because he's at that level. But most people, I mean, if you unless you want it to take a while, I don't know that anybody's going to free skate 10 miles to work unless they really make time for it. And like, uh, you know,
For
um,
sure. Also, yeah, I'm like trying to find like maybe a local. I saw some videos of there's another free skater that does like fire. James is there? He's like kind of like in the Midwest somewhere. He's an ambassador too. And I saw his Instagram that he was like riding with like a group of like just like regular like roller skaters around town.
is it
Like
James Dillon Brown? Yeah, James Dillon Brown. He had a
yeah,
flamethrower.
yeah. And then there's like there's like a local group that I saw that practiced next to our juggling group on Sunday, but they only practice kind of like tricking around the circle, you know. I wonder like if I find like a group that rides around town, maybe it'd be great. I haven't found one yet, but when I was in Portland, there was like a electric unicycle group that had like
Mhm.
150 people that
Wow.
rode 12 miles every Friday. Like it was insane. They took over downtown and they had like a very planned out route, and they would stop at these pit stops where they're like bars where you can charge and buy drinks. And then there's like a group leader in the front that has like a I don't know like a
That's
totem or
wild.
something like insane. These people were so dedicated that the guy that organized it, he's been there every Friday for like 3 years.
I believe you.
They started with like a dozen people and now there's like about like 150.
Yeah,
And what
keep
they
going.
would they would go downtown and literally take over the whole downtown like road. They would have two or three people dedicated that right in the front, and then
Yeah.
they would completely block off traffic. And there's no permits or anything. They just take over, and then a person in the front would like lead the pack with like a pole that has like a light, and then they have like a megaphone. And then once they stop at the pit stop, it's like a 10-15 minute break, and then the guy with the megaphone will kind of like rally everybody, and then they get on, and then they go on with the route, and it's this like 10-12 mile loop that they do every Friday. It was insane.
That's extreme dedication.
It's crazy. And I was like,
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, the EUC community is pretty wild. Like it seems like it's like pretty tight. They're all pretty close. Everyone knows each other and like in a given city.
And
Um,
then here in Phoenix, there is a one wheel community that's probably maybe like 20-30 deep. Like everybody's like one wheel. The EUC one up in Portland, it was a mixture. They had people with like just anything electronic, e-bikes, whatever, scooters, one wheel. It's like a complete like mixed bag of people. They ride pretty fast. They were going about like maybe like 15, 16 miles an hour, like average pack speed. Like
nice.
crazy.
That's cool. Well, Marvin, it has been great chatting with you on here. Talked about a lot of cool things. Learned a lot about juggling and everything that goes with that, and hope your free skating progress goes well. I'm excited to see where you take all this stuff in combination.
Yeah, we'll see. Talking about it definitely makes me excited about it again. For sure. It's been a slow month or two due to the heat.
Yeah, happy to start that fire and continue to do that through you know posting cool stuff on the JMK socials, and yeah, it'll be fun to see. So thank you for coming on today, everyone. Thank you for joining. See you later, Dr. Dope. And this has been episode 31. Join us next week with a special guest for episode 32, Tuesday at 3 p.m. Pacific time. All right. Thanks, everybody. Later.